Hello guys and welcome to my first video on this channel or ever in English. In advance, sorry for my English because it was not my favorite school subject, and I hope I will become better in the next months and weeks when I produce more videos on this channel in English. Today I want to speak with you about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, in German called PTBS. And I come from Germany, and in Germany at the moment we have not so much doctors in this part, and not so much hospitals, and only in the army we have the best doctors in this part. But when you don't stay in the army, you have a problem. The problem for me is one situation was in the time of the army, but the government tells me you don't stay in the army, and you can't become help from us. So here it's not so easy, but I can tell you in more detail in the next videos. First, let us speak about what is it, PTSD. Easy, it's one point in your life or one situation what your brain have problems to accept a very stressful situation. The problem is if you mean two people and they have the same situation, you can't say these two people will become it. It's a little bit different, and no one can say it in advance who will become it, and so it's different. What situation could be bring you to you PTSD? Maybe when someone die and you think you are responsible for that die, or you have an accident with a car, or in the army you stay at war and comrades die in an explosion, or when you fight. and or in when you are a child and your parents or other people do terrible things with you, that can also bring PTSD. And the problem is, not every time you will, or it comes in the next few months, that you can feel it or see it. Sometimes it needs years that your brain bring it back to your mind, and that's sometimes very difficult. For me, for example, I have a few things from where I was child and from my youth, and once from the army, and the last thing what happened was when I worked for the army in a refugees camp in Mannheim 4 months, 2015 and 16, and the problems started with PTSD at 2019. Before, I don't think about it, and it was not present for me. But 2019 it comes back, and at this moment I want to speak how you can feel it and see it. A few things who can mind you that you could have it. The first thing is you have trigger. That are things when you see it, smell it, hear it, you can you must think directly to the situation before. For example, a soldier who stayed at war and lost comrades, and he hears shooting, then he will stay back in the situation at war. And maybe you are only shocked, maybe you flew, run away, maybe you have as reaction an attack, or you could have a flashback. A flashback is when I was triggered and my brain bring me back in this situation, then it's like a video, and when it ends, it starts again. In the reality, I stay at this place, but in my mind, and what I see in this moment is the situation where it happened. For another example, it can also happen when you dream. And you dream every time the same dream, and you will try to change something in this situation. But at the end, the end is every time the same. But you can't cut it. And that's, for example, one of my problems, that I can only sleep most nights about 4 hours because I have most nights a kind of flashbacks. Another problem is when you stay outside. You will react. You will react on every sounds. When I hear something, I must have a look. And that's very hard for our brain, because it's make you down and lazy with the time, and it's hard to go or to stay a long time outside of a safe room or home. And when I come inside to a room, my first look will also get around and look around for dangerous things, what could happen. And I must still, a few minutes later, when there's a sound or something, look again for any danger things. And that's, with the time, terrible for the people. At the moment I can't work, because when I stay a long time outside, it become great problems. At the moment it's not so easy to speak. In Germany it's a little bit easier, but sometimes I don't know the words, and it's not too easy. And one of my greatest problems is that the PTSD from the army have to do with kids from Syria and Afghanistan, Iraq, and refugees who stay at this moment in the refugees camp. And at the moment in Germany we have so many kids from these countries, and every time I see one of these kids, I become a trigger. And the same could be also when one of these kids, or also German kids, I have the same sounds of the situation. It's the same. And that's the problem for me. Go out, stay outside, and where I can go train or other places and not see kids from these countries. It's not so easy. And so I have problems to work or to come to work. And that's why I can't work in the moment. There are also more problems. But this is one of the greatest problem for me at the moment. And for me, I have one help. I have 2 dogs. You can also look at other videos. I will bring in the next weeks more of them. 2 huskies. As I see, I don't will work in the next months, years. I say we can have a dog, and they give me, when I go outside, a little bit safety. And so it's for me easier to go outside. But the problem is when I don't have my dogs on my side, I become the same problems before. And when I go outside with the dogs, with the time, and it's when I go longer, I have become also problems. But when the dogs say we must go outside, and it's for me better if I don't have them. I would stay all time inside, and so I go must outside. And sometimes I meet people, because when you have dogs and there are other people with dogs, and you can interact with other people what you can not every time or done at home. So it's for me a good way to live with this problem for the moment. And with my dogs, I'm not alone. My problem is before the PTSD comes, I was much, or I do much volunteer work, political, reserve of army, and in church. I was chore master and emergency organ player, and I work with youth people in church, and I was all times not at home. I was only at home to eat, to sleep, and the other time I work and was volunteer work. And so for me it was also not so easy when you stay all time on under many people, that from one of the other day you can't meet many other people, and you stay at home, and because you don't want to have trigger, and you don't want to have more flashbacks. And what I also must say, when you have a flashback, you lose any control. Your brain tell you things what are not there. And you have no control about these things. And that's terrible. Okay. I think that's enough for the first video. I hope you enjoy it and you like it. If you want, you can put the like button under the video, and you can follow me if you want. And when you want to ask or write something, you can also do it under this video. I would like to see you in the next video, and I hope you enjoy the time between and say goodbye.